Welcome back to the Minnesota Motor Company, our Super Sports Saturday. We turn our attention to Otter swimming and diving. Mike Hartwell, the diving coach, is here with one of his divers, Kyle Rust. And good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Well, let's go right to the difference between the fall and winter. Fall, you have one diver at the varsity level, and Rachel Appert, that you're working with, and all of a sudden you get into the boys' season, you're working with four guys who are competing regular at the varsity level and a couple more who are on their way. What kind of a difference and transition is that from the one to the multiple divers?
That's a great question. It's going from silence on the deck and concentration to complete calamity. But, we're getting through it, and we're having lots of fun. And you brought up a really good point, is I actually have 4 varsity-level divers competing for 3 slots at each meet. So it's a little bit of internal jousting, kind of trying to find their way to get that 3rd varsity spot at a dual meet. So it's really fun. We've got some good, healthy competition. We've got 4 boys working really hard on some good, hard dives, and so it's really off to a good start.
Do you like the way the program is building? Like Craig said, it's been a while since you've had this many divers. It's a good problem to have, isn't it, Coach?
Excellent problem to have, yes.
And it really challenges the divers to really increase their repertoire, so to speak. They have to have a number of dives that they can perform at a high level.
Absolutely. When they're in 7th and 8th grade, they're just coming out to kind of discover what this is all about. This year, all 4 boys, including Alex Siegfried, my 8th grader, came in prepared. They must have worked hard this summer. I know that Kyle was working at a job all summer, moving boxes and lifting, and he actually came into season in real good shape. And it's a great start of the season because right away we can get into higher, difficult dives that take strength and balance. And so all 4 boys that are competing for those varsity slots have at least 4 or 5 dives that are over 2.0 in difficulty, and they're in shape and they're ready to go. And so far, our first 3 meets that we've had, they've had at least 2, 3, 4 dives at 2.0 on their list, so they're off to a good start.
Mike, I want to ask you how you convince young divers to come out for the team. We were talking with Kyle before the game or before the show here, and how some of the younger divers can try to dive and things don't go all that well, and that water turns into concrete. How do you say, hey, that was nice, now don't do it again? How do you convince these young guys to keep coming back?
Well, pain is a motivator, so when they do hit that concrete water, we talk about how they make adjustments not to do that again.
Okay.
So that does motivate them. But, it's interesting. Every year when I get ready for the season, I always hear about these 5, 6, 7, 8 kids out there that are coming out. And then when we get to the actual first practice, there are no shows. Where are they? Well, I think you're kind of an individual that already likes this kind of extreme, kind of this fear type of sport. It's not natural to get up there and do something that your coach is telling you, well, just do this, that, and you'll have success. Because at the end of the day, once you leave that board, you really have to be committed to going through those metrics, or you are going to hit the concrete hard.
Yeah.
So it takes a real unique individual that can kind of mentally focus and listen, and it takes a while. It takes some time.
I was talking to Coach Donahue, the hockey coach, about taking away some of your kids, because he needs more kids like that take the punishment and come back for more,
Not that big a difference from diving to hockey. It's just frozen water.
Well, but yeah, there's sideboards and there's that water.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kyle, I'd like to get your response to kind of what Coach Hartwell said about these guys must have put in some hard work in the off season and working hard. Did you get a chance to actually work on your diving during the off season, or any kind of a camp or anything like that you can go to?
There's actually a couple camps you go to, but I didn't personally attend a camp this summer. Mostly I just kind of did a little weightlifting training here and there, and then I went to Wapton a couple times, and they have or not Wapton, but Wheaton, and they have a little thing up there. It's like a little diving.
For a lot of people, runners, track and field, football, you can go out in your backyard, you can run around the block. For you, it's got to be difficult to find places to train. Is it tough?
Yeah, like Coach told me once, there's a lot of hard top basketball hoops, nets out there. There's only a couple places you can go dive.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't even to the lake somewhere. You can't get a place that is right, good for diving.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be tough.
I remember Detroit Lakes used to have that diving tower out in the lake.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if they're still there or not, isn't it?
Okay, never mind.
Now, Kyle, does it help when you have, the guys pushing you, like Coach Hartwell was talking about, as kind of a calamity out there on the deck, and you're battling 4 guys for 3 spots out there? Has that helped to make you a better diver?
Yeah, it's really nice to have, the guys out there. It's good for competition. We all motivate each other a lot. Like, we all push each other, and we're like, you can do this. And yeah, it's just nice having all the guys out there pushing each other.
You had a frustrating end to your season last year as you were having some health problems down the stretch that didn't allow you to compete at the level you would have liked to, and you were still close to getting to state. How much was that, the finish to last season, a motivator for you coming back this year?
It was a pretty big motivator. You know, I popped my eardrum, so I was out for almost a month, and then only had a couple days of practice, and then just went to sections, just kind of, you know, just to have fun, see what happened. But yeah, it was a pretty good motivator. You know, I did really good, you know, just coming back from that and going to sections, and it's just a good way to start this year.
And I'm sure that's the focus right now, getting to state, right?
Oh yeah, pretty motivated to go to there.
How tough is the competition in the section in diving?
This year, it's not as bad as it was last year, but there's still a lot of really good divers out there this year.
What's your favorite dive?
My favorite dive is probably a forward summy 2-twist. Love that dive.
Would you demonstrate that for us here?
I don't think it would quite work.
I was waiting for the answer. Anything that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
What is there one dive right now that you just can't hit that you're working on, and just it's frustrating to a point where you're thinking, man, if I don't get this soon, I'm going to give it up?
Well, the dive that I can do, but it's just it's the kick out I can't get, is my forward 2.5. I could do it. It's just I can't quite get the kick out there.
I was going to say, what's your motivation really for doing this? I know a lot of kids, you know, you got the NBA to watch, the NHL, you got college hockey, college basketball. You know, once every 4 years we get the Summer Olympics, and that's about it seems like. Maybe the Big Ten Network now, but where's your motivation? Where's your drive for that?
Well, I did watch Olympic diving, and that was a pretty big motivator for me. But every now and then I watch some diving on TV or online and stuff, and I just like, oh, that's cool. I should learn that. That'd be a nice dive.
I was going to say, you know, years ago we didn't have that stuff,
right.
And you saw it once every 4 years. That was it. That looks cool.
And then it's also nice to have Coach. He tells us stories about, oh, we did this dive and we did this dive, and it's like, oh, trying to show me up. I should probably learn that.
All right.
Yeah, that's good to have that challenge too from a former diver. So now you, of course, had your Otter invite this last week, and that was your last Otter invite, right?
Yep, that was last.
How emotional was that? I know for some kids it's a very emotional thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of not that great. Last Otter invite I'll ever have, but it was pretty good. There's a lot of good guys came out and dove pretty hard, and they got a good score, so it's all right.
There's a lot of lasts in the senior year, but there's also a lot of firsts coming. So
right, Well, you won that competition, so that felt good, huh?
It's pretty good win. Almost got my high score.
Well, let's, Mike, we can talk to you about the rest of the divers that you have, and we're talking with Mike Hartwell, the diving coach of the Fergus Falls Otter boys and girls swimming teams, and Kyle Rust, also one of his divers, with us this morning. But why don't you talk about the other guys that you have, Michael Osnes and Reed Magnuson and Mike Pistolka. I look at the scores from the Otter invite. There's not a lot of separation there point-wise. They're all pretty tight, aren't they?
They're all very tight, and the beautiful thing is they all have very consistent lists, and so that competition between them is going to be key this year as far as who's getting into those first 1, 2, 3 slots. But let me tell you a little bit about Michael Osnes. He went to state last year. He is a young man that has explosive power coming off the board. Matter of fact, I hear every coach in our section always tell me, how does this kid get off the board like that? The beautiful thing about that is it's recognized as really amazing how high he is, but the challenge for Michael is controlling that, because when you get up high with that much power, it's like trying to land an airplane with no engines. It's very difficult to do. So he needs to work on some control technique throughout this season and some additional dives, but he's off to a really good start. He's a very strong individual that's going to have a great season this year, and the best part of this is he has another year yet next year. Mikey Pistolka, he's kind of the little engine that could. This kid comes into practice every day. He never tells me no. He never says he can't do something. He goes up and tries it, and it's really starting to pay off. He's developing a deep list. He now has a reverse and a half. He has a back and a half. He just started 2.5s last week. He is developing a deep list, and again, he's only a sophomore, so he's well on his way to some really great diving in the future. Reed Magnuson, complete athlete this year. He came in strong. He's been training off season. He went to diving camp. He is really focused, and he is actually a young man who's really matured. In the past, he was a young man that would struggle sometimes with trying to get it in his head on how to do these dives. This year, it's a complete change. He is so focused. He's an absolute delight to coach because he's a little sponge. He just keeps asking me on very important technique drills, how to do it better and how to change things. And it might be a difference of moving his hand 10 inches that makes a complete difference in how that dive turns out. He's tuned in and wired. He's also delivering a very deep list and building on it. And again, he's only a sophomore, so good things yet to come for Reed Magnuson. And then we have our 8th grader, Alex Siegfried, another nice kid. You know, here he is hanging out with these older guys, upperclassmen. He's right in there with the team. There's a lot of good team unity between these guys, and he's right in a great spot right now just to learn. You know, again, he's young. His body's young. He doesn't quite have the strength that is required for the sport to really get in the upper DD level dives. But you know what? 8th grade, he's got a lot of years ahead of him, so off to a good start.
Mike, I wanted to ask you, your older divers, are you finding that they're good ambassadors of the sport and trying to pass along? You said you have an 8th grader there for them to groom. Are they out maybe recruiting and helping you out, for future?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And, you know, one of the nice things that happened last year was the windows in the pool.
Oh, okay.
Because now that's the windows into our sport. So often, so many people never saw diving or never really saw competitive swimming. And I have more people in the community stop me and say, wow, I watched your divers the other night. I had no idea that's what you guys do. And, you know, that is really a nice recruiting tool,
yeah.
The fact that they can see what's going on.
Kyle, I wanted to ask you something here. You know, you score a basket in basketball, it's 2 points. You score a goal in hockey, it's a goal. Your sport is subjective. You could do the best dive you could possibly do. Judge doesn't see it that way, and you're going, what happened? How difficult is that to deal with? You're dealing with the opinion of other people.
It's pretty frustrating, but, you know, it's kind of at the end of the day, it's just how they saw it. You may have saw it another way, the coach may have saw it another way, but it's kind of how everyone's opinion on how you did it.
How do you, if that does happen, I mean, do you just, let's say you did a great dive, you think you did a great dive, you didn't get the score you wanted from the East German judge. It always comes from there.
Yes, it does.
But, you know, how do you, is it difficult to just shake that off and not worry about it, just go do your business?
Probably when I first started it was just kind of, I was new and it's like, it's too bad. But now it's just kind of like, you know what, I didn't get what I wanted. Just worry about the next dive. Just kind of, that's too bad. Next dive.
Okay.
Maybe it makes you more determined to go out and show them you can.
You didn't do good in the last one. You always do better in the next one.
It is. I'm sure that's a very difficult thing to overcome mentally. You know, for the older kids. You know, God, what else? What do I got to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I thought that was just an interesting part to your sport.
How about the focus on the board from practice to the meet, especially for the young divers? It's old hat for you now. You can probably block everything out. But did it take a while to go from practice setting where it's you and the coach and a couple of teammates who are there to all of a sudden you're into this pool with a bunch of people around watching you?
In practice, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's always just kind of mess around. I'm not trying to impress anybody. But when it gets to meet, like, I don't even see this side of the pool. That's all gone to me. I just see board and pool.
Yeah. It takes a little while to get to that point.
Yep, it's a lot of mental focus. You did so much to do.
Mike, back to you for a second here. This last week you had the Otter invite on Saturday. You had a triangular on Tuesday. You had a dual on Thursday. It doesn't leave you a lot of practice time. How difficult is that when you have so many competitions and yet you're sitting there thinking, when are we going to be able to work on a few things?
That's a great point. We've stepped up practice this year by adding Wednesday night practice, so we have an additional evening now that most of these boys are a little older and we don't have a conflict with church. And then our Saturday practices are pretty intense. They usually go for 2.5 hours, and it's all new diving training on Saturdays. So they get punished pretty good on Saturday and beg me to get out of the pool. So, that is always a challenge when we have a lot of meets up front. But, to your point, meets are part of the preparation as well. We don't focus so much on the dual side of the competition for dual meets. It really comes down to the 11 dive meets when we get ready for conference and section, because those are the qualifying level lists that we need to have the divers doing very well in order for them to place in top 4 for state.
I don't know how many dives there are possible out there, but
many.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good answer. Yeah. But you have to know 11 of them for the.
Yes, to compete at that level, you have to have 11 that you can throw competitively.
Kyle, how many can you do? Different dives.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I know more than 11.
Oh, okay.
Probably 20.
You're set then. 2. Okay, all right. Well, good luck. Good luck the rest of the way, and thank you guys for coming in. Thank you. Congratulations on a great start to the season.
All right.
Mike Hartwell and Kyle Rust representing the Otter boys diving team. And the Otters had their home invite last week, a couple of meets this week, and they're just busy.
As always, we got boys and girls basketball to talk about. We'll do that when we come back. It's on Super Sports Saturday from the Minnesota Motor Company on AM 1250.